Yes, Ryan, I told you to dig in my bag. You're looking for a blue pen or a white and blue Jesus.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's Wednesday, 17th November 2021, and welcome to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. I'm Julian Skeet.
And I am Rhea Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Good morning to the Caribbean. And those of you viewing us from the live, Julian, it is a beautiful Wednesday.
Yes.
Just a little overcast, but cool outside.
Yes, certainly. Certainly giving thanks for another blessings
That's
indeed
right.
on this day that we are able to be here. And we really want to continue to thank for the love and support that we continue to receive via the Tobago Updates Morning Show. And we want to encourage you to continue to share the live, share the live, share the live. Rhea, what's been happening in the Tobago space?
Well, we continue along the lines of politics. It's politics, politics, politics. And I'm really happy that, this morning we probably kicks off maybe the start of us being able to chat with some of the candidates candidates from all spheres, from the IDA, the People's National Movement, the PDP, and the other independent candidates, Nkosi Phillips and Ricardo Phillips, I understand, also offering themselves up for this election. Maybe independent seats, not with a full slate. But I think today kicks off that. So we're going to be chatting a little bit later on with entities.
Yes, certainly. We in our lineup this morning we have Joel Jack, PNM candidate for Bagatelle Bacolet. He would be chatting with us, looking at the political matters and of course recovery of the economy.
Yeah.
And who do we should also have on the lineup this morning?
Well, I'm happy to say that we will be able to chat this morning with Winston Gypsy Peters. And interesting enough, the topic of conversation here is Carnival 2022. I'm hearing comments on the ground. So we're talking COVID-19, we're talking increased numbers, and yet we're talking Carnival 2022. So we'll hear more about that from Mr. Peters.
Well, I'm certainly a soca lover, so that's news to my
Julian,
ears.
I
there's
can't
a joy.
see, I'm not seeing you there. I can't see you there.
Well, let's just say you wouldn't see the jacket and so on in that. But I'm a soca lover from long time. But it would be interesting to see how we approach that concept, knowing that Trinidad and that Carnival in particular is such a great revenue earner to Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm very interested also in that interview in itself and really seeing what are the prospects in going forward. I suppose Miami has certainly been a motivation and an inspiration
I tell you.
to many throughout the
We'll see how it
region.
goes.
On the political landscape as well, interesting enough, the parties kicked off the night before. The PNM would have been in Collar Hall in terms of continuing their meetings. And I found that the PDP had a very interesting segment last night where it was branded as, before they got off officially into the campaign trail, up close and personal, where literally they were live on social media, and whether you were PNM, IDA, PDP, or you just didn't care for the politics, you could have posted your questions and the questions were brought up on the screen, and there it is. Farley was providing answers, and I found that to be very interesting and very timely, and certainly setting the tone for something different. What's more important is, should Farley be successful as Chief Secretary, I want to see a similar session happening even during the term.
That's right.
So it really set a different tone for campaign meetings.
That's right. And I'm going back to Mia Motley's presentation just a few weeks ago. Leaders must lead. And if you are offering yourself for leadership, you should be able to answer the hard questions, Julian. You should not be offended by the hard questions. You should be able to answer the questions. All right. But I know we have about 30 seconds, and you usually jump in here, Julian, with your lives and your birthdays.
So the birthday greetings very quickly. Not too many this morning. But the birthday greetings very quickly today. Esther Hackett, we want to wish you a happy birthday. And we also want to wish this morning Richard Jack James, and I think he's out there somewhere. I think it's in the US or so this morning. Good morning to you and happy birthday. We trust that you have an enjoyable one. And as well, I think I missed yesterday. Rochelle Johnson. So just in case I missed Rochelle Johnson from yesterday, as well as Nicole Williams John, we want to wish you a happy birthday and we trust that you had an enjoyable one. In fact, Nicole, yes, I saw that photo shoot on Facebook. Fabulous. Happy birthday to you and we trust that you continue to have an enjoyable birthday to all of you coming from the Tobago Updates family.
Well, just before we go, I have a very special birthday greeting going out to Amanda Francis. Yes, Amanda Francis is celebrating her birthday today. So happy birthday going out to you, Amanda, from the Tobago Updates crew. All right, so love to you. Have a really great day today.
All right.
So we are going to take that break, Julian. When we come back, lots more happening here on the Tobago Updates morning show. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Whoa! It's the Quartz Black Friday sale. With the best-selling brands, best deals, and best offers all month long. You don't want to miss your chance to save on wow deals. Save on smart TVs, major appliances, furniture, bedroom and dining, with lots more to choose from. Shop today with Quartz Ready Finance and pay nothing for 90 days. Don't miss this Black Friday sales event. Only at Quartz, bringing value home.
morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Put a smile on your face when when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Man in finance for Tobago. Some know him as the Deputy Chief Secretary. Some just know him as Assemblyman Joel within the electoral district of then Bacolet Mount St. George. Folks, we have chatting with us this morning Joel Jack, the PNM candidate for Bagatelle Bacolet. Good morning to you, sir.
Sir Skeet, good morning.
You know, I had to pause before to say greetings to my very good friend Kamaria.
Of course. And of course you left out Clavia.
Oh my gosh, Cleveland, I'll get in trouble for that, definitely.
But it's so good to be on set, and nice seeing you again, Jess, you know, Maria, and congratulations to Tobago Update. You all are doing well. You are doing a sterling job representing Tobago, another media avenue, you know, riding high on innovation and, you know, showing what is possible coming out of Tobago. So I wish you all the best, and of course you have the support of the Division of Finance and the Economy and the Tobago House of Assembly. But you know, hats off to everyone and applause on a job well done. So keep up the good work.
Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much indeed. So as we get started this morning, we're chatting about the political matters and the political landscape. Joel Jack is obviously no stranger, and therefore quite naturally, an interview like this starts off the cuff. As we begin to discuss, there have been some issues surrounding, or directly connected, I should say rather, to the Division of Finance and the Economy. What one would describe as the most recent uproar over food cards. Give us a sense of what is the real process that is taking place now for access to food cards to ensure there is maximum benefit to those in need.
Well, let's put the statement that may have been, and let's put that statement in context, a statement issued by one of my colleagues when at the start of the pandemic, at the Division of Finance and the Economy, you may recall that we were inundated with requests. We had scores of persons lining up outside the building in the sun. We had to erect tents outside, and the system then, you know, was not workable, and we decided then to you know, to ensure that persons were served through the electoral districts, to have the assemblymen forward the application forms to the division. So each card that is issued is backed by an application form. And that is the process we put in place to assist in decentralizing the application process and to ensure that persons were adequately served. And, you know, I am saying that over 30,000 persons or cards have been issued to provide the necessary support and to cushion the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And let me say, as a responsible administration at the start of the pandemic, you know, we had to intervene immediately to provide the necessary policy intervention and the necessary measures to assist the most vulnerable in society, and as well those persons directly impacted by the lockdown measures that we had to institute as a responsible administration, as we sought to protect lives and livelihoods and to reduce the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic.
So how do we then respond to the concerns raised? And we can understand that level in order to reach a wider cross-section, but the concerns raised particularly by those who were not members of the PNM in terms of the other 6, indicating that they didn't have similar kinds of access, if that's the process that was put in place.
Well, I think one of their own, Ms. Zarisha Hackett, indicated that she has submitted 1,000 applications, but when we did the figures, we know that it was far less than 1,000, probably about 265 cards or so, but she has been submitting cards. Now, if the other persons fail and in the dereliction of their duty fail to service their the persons in their electoral district, we are not at fault for that. but the process is there, it's open, it's transparent, and it's available to all assemblymen and to all persons. And let me say, this has been the lifeline for a number of persons in this pandemic period as they attempt to, you know, to obtain foodstuff. And you know, when I walk around and persons, you know, approach me, and you know, they say thank you. Some persons are so thankful for the assistance, because in addition to the food cards, we have given out hampers. For my electoral district, we have partnered with supermarkets and the private sector, and we have donated, you know, hundreds of, you know, I'm sure thousands by now of hampers on a weekly basis to necessary persons throughout the community. And you know, as I normally do I'm on the morning program, to the dear residents of Backlet, Mount St. George, now Bagatelle, Backlet, because I still serve Backlet, Mount St. George. And you know, and I go out of my way. So a special good morning to the residents whom I have the distinct pleasure to serve and represent. And I have done so throughout the pandemic, and even during, as we sought to bridge the digital divide in the education system and the disruption that the pandemic has caused to the learning process. So we also gave out the devices. Our back to school program was also ramped up, because this year we had an increase in requests from parents for support, and that is understandable. And as an assemblyman, I have had to respond, and I've done so accordingly.
Tell us something in that area particularly. Two things. I want to verify, based on your experience, that of course people make mistakes, and as a new assemblyman, have you sought to make it very clear? One of the concerns being signing blank forms, which is what the assemblyman are doing. And people make errors. You're not expected to be perfect. Have you made it very clear that that is not necessarily acceptable in our standard, or is that acceptable?
No, I think what the assemblyman indicated, and if you look at, it's not the assemblyman on our side who signed endorsing the recommendation, and would have signed the form and left it in his office for his office personnel to interview and so on. But
so you think that's the standard?
No,
oh.
That's not.
Right.
So the process. Now, assemblymen from the other side, they have also signed and endorsed forms. And what they're saying is that we recommend this person for assistance. The process I would recommend is that the person is interviewed, they fill out the form, and then
sign.
Right? But in your office, you may have a process whereby you pre-sign forms, but the person is still interviewed by your office staff. They take all the information and they note their concerns, whether they are unemployed or not, and then that form is transmitted to the office. But we are not processing blank forms. So all that the signing and endorsing of forms by assemblymen, that is done in their internal office. But the forms that we process and review at the division, those forms are completed and verified, and the office will make their necessary investigations and calls.
So, all right. Thank you for bringing the clarity on that, because, you know, the questions are coming and we have to provide to ensure that the information is provided.
And I am happy to provide it, because you know, in this unique season, and persons try at every opportunity to misinform and to take things out of context. And as Secretary of Finance, I am responsible for ensuring that the process is transparent, that we have accountability and value for money across the Assembly, and that is something I welcome in terms of providing the clarity.
One of the things I want to also ask you to speak to, as we're looking at the political matters, you've been around for some time in your electoral district. I want you to speak to us about the work in your electoral district in particular, and what can persons look forward to in terms of to come, because you know it is said sometimes when you're there for an extended period, you think you're doing a good job, and in fact the people show you you're doing a good job by returning you to office. But more than that, how do you plan to even build on what you have been doing? So start by giving us a sense of some of the major areas of achievement. Now, we don't have the entire morning.
Well, I'm about to tell you, we don't have the entire day.
So you need to select at least some major.
Sure I can sit here and, you know, list some of the remarkable achievements for the entire day. And you're right, I received a third mandate from the residents of Backlet, Mount St. George. And it was both humbling and overwhelming at the same time to know that the confidence that is reposed in me to serve for another time and to provide effective representation to the persons in Backlet, Mount St. George, now Bagatelle, Backlet. I think when I started this journey and I interfaced with the residents and I gave them a commitment, and that is a commitment and a bond that I hold dear, and that has guided me throughout the years in serving and providing effective representation to persons. Some of the major issues we have as it relates to one, unemployment, and of course youth unemployment. And what we set up early on is to establish an employment database within the electoral district where we take all information of persons who are seeking employment, and when opportunities arise both in the private sector and the public sector, we are able to refer persons for employment. We have also hosted youth career day fairs because the youth unemployment rate is slightly higher than the unemployment rate for the and this is something that we have to address. And so we have done that quite successfully, and we'll continue to do that as we treat with the unemployment issue and the unemployment issue, as we try to ensure that those persons who are qualified, that we're able to recommend and place them in jobs. Another area that I like to talk about is my investment in human capital development, and that is also tied to the unemployment issue, because sometimes when persons come to you, they either leave school too early, they don't have a full certificate, they don't have the relevant job experience, and it's a challenge to place them. So in that context, when I meet parents, they bring in their kids, some of them come in at an early age, we assist them through the back to school program so they get the necessary support. When they have graduated, we support them, making recommendations to the Department of Advanced Training and Advisory Services. So a number of them are now graduates, a number of them are now going off to school in various fields: medicine, law, accounting, the environment. Some persons are also doing some unique stuff. So we provide that support and the continued investment in human capital development through the Second Chance Learning Institute at Mount St. George, and I've worked through a number of the faith-based organizations within the electoral district and the community-based organizations. And through the Second Chance Learning Institute, what we are attempting to is to those young men, both boys, young men and young girls who have left secondary school without the certificates, we will provide training opportunities and certification for them within the electoral district to qualify them not for a quote-unquote WK work, but for a career, a skill, so that they can either occupy themselves in a trade where they can earn money, or to start their business, to focus on entrepreneurship, which is another area that I'll focus on, and not just providing employment facilitation alone, but seeing how we can get persons to start their business either through the Enterprise Assistance Grant and Loan programs or through the REACH programs, or sometimes I may even have to assist them from out of pocket. So
is it safe to say then that you have found a way to mesh both your responsibility as secretary within the division and to ensure that direct benefit to Tobago as a whole, yes, but also to the electoral district of Bagatelle, Bacolet?
Well, what I would say, Julian, having worked as a technocrat within the division, and I have known, the numerous programs that we have hosted and the money we have invested in publication and communication to reach a lot of Tobagonians. And sometimes in my interface with persons in the community, I'm surprised that they are totally unaware of some of the services and programs for their benefit. And as an assemblyman called to serve, I'm ensuring that persons are aware as to all the programs and activities that are provided to assist and empower them and to give them the quality of life that we have envisioned as an administration as we continue the socioeconomic transformation of Tobago. And now I want to shift to infrastructure. That has been another major issue within the electoral district. And in that my first term in 2013, I had a vision to extend the highway from the Bacalet Monument right up to Hope into Mount St. George and as further as possible, because that was the vision in terms of providing infrastructure to Northeast and Windward Tobago.
Right.
And we started in John Dial. You could remember the days when you had harvest in Hope, John Dial, and you had difficulty having two-way traffic. Now that is a thing of the past. And how that was done is that when I started as an assemblyman, I sat with all the residents and we got together. I outlined my vision for the electoral district in terms of the transformation, ensuring that we have safe, modern communities with the necessary infrastructure. That will also include those that are physically challenged, that we invest in renewable energies, that we have safe recreational spaces, and again with a focus on education, entrepreneurship, and economic empowerment. So we started, and with that shared vision, I indicated to them how I would like to see the community transform. And the residents, they came on board and they gave up at least 4 to 6 feet of land from the roadway to ensure that that project came to fruition. And now it's a thing of reality. The same vision was extended from John Dial into Mount St. George. And we were going to treat with putting a roundabout nearby the number 1 Village Street. And we had wanted to wide number 1 Village Street as well, but the residents at the time, we had some land ownership issues and they could not sign off and give up the necessary land space. But that is in place, the drawings are in place, and we're also looking at identifying and establishing green spaces within the community for recreation and establishing exercise spaces as well. So that was done at Hope. We've facilitated the construction of a changing room. We established a walking track. Now, and I have to,
one of the things I want to ask about that in particular
Yes.
is, can we look forward to similar, because a number of people within the community utilize. Now, one of the things that persons probably have raised issues about is the lighting. Is that something you're also looking into, particularly around the John Dial area and the extension of those walking pathways or running, exercising, as we encourage health and fitness in other areas within Tobago?
Most definitely. So in John Dial, I constructed a playing field close to the community center. We'll put a walking track there. We established one with using rubble, but that with the weeds growing up and so on, we'll have to concrete that entire thing. Similarly for Mount St. George, I have an exciting design for that Mount St. George playing field that we will that I will highlight probably the next time I'm on. So in terms of recreational spaces, yes. And for Bagatelle, we have been allocated green space to construct and establish a playing field, walking track, and recreational spaces within the community. And I know that has been a long-standing challenge, but that problem is solved, and that is earmarked for the new electoral district as well. So putting in green spaces and recreational facilities, that is important as we look at wellness and health within the community. Another...
Just before we go any further, because in this segment, we just chatting generally to get a sense in terms of specifically political matters. So at this point, viewers, as we prepare to go to a break, we will return to continue the interview with Joel Jack, and Ria would be returning to continue the next segment of the interview. You are viewing Tobago Updates Morning Show. Remember to share the live, share the live, share the
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Viewers, welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We continue chatting this morning with Mr. Joel Jack, the PNM candidate for Bagatelle Bacalet. And our focus at this time is on recovery of our economy post-COVID. Now, Mr. Jack, it's a pleasure to be able to chat with you. I mean, we've done this for a number of years
it's so nice
in a different
again.
space.
Oh, boy.
But it's good to good to be able to chat with you.
It's nice seeing you again, Ria.
Thank you so much. Same here. Now, during your conversation with Julian Skeet a little while ago, I heard you make mention of some of the THA's priority projects, and you listed a few of them. Now, with a $52 billion budget, national budget, 2.357 for Tobago. Am I correct? Okay. How do we plan on moving forward? And we're talking here post-COVID. I know that things cannot continue the way they did pre-COVID. How do you plan on moving forward in this space with, I mean, it's a different time?
Well, I think most importantly, what we have to do is to facilitate the economic recovery caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. As an administration, we have attempted to cushion the shock as much as possible and to provide immediate and direct support to key sectors.
Right.
For example, the tourism sector. Immediately, we had to close borders, we had to restrict international travel, and we also had to place a limit on domestic arrivals, both by air and sea. And that would have had a severe impact on the tourism sector, with respect to arrivals declining significantly. The occupancy levels went down to 17%, and in some instances, the hotels had to close. As an administration, working with the central government, we ensured that the sector received an initial injection of $50 million at that time to invest in renovation, retooling, rebranding, refurbishing. In this year's budget, we have requested an additional $50 million for the tourism sector to provide working capital and additional support for the sector to prepare for the reopening of the economy. And what that means is that we have listened to the persons within the business community clamoring for additional support outside of the $50 million. So together, $100 million in support to the tourism sector. Additionally, as an assembly, we provided $4 million to the tourism ancillary sector, so your tour guides, persons in bars, persons who are providing services, they got some support as well. Additionally, the Assembly immediately raised the ceilings on the enterprise assistance loans and grant programs from $25,000 to $50,000 for the grant program, and from $250,000 to $500,000 for the loan program. Additionally, the government implemented the loan guarantee program for businesses in a higher category, and what we did not see then was the uptake of businesses to make use of this facility. They cited concerns, the Minister of Finance listened, and that proposal was revised again in the national budget. So taken together, these suites of support mechanisms and intervention measures provided the cushion and support to the Tobago business sector. Additionally, I was part of a national team with the Prime Minister early in the pandemic, and I got an additional $10 million in funding and support through the Tobago credit unions to on-lend to businesses and persons impacted by the pandemic. So taken together with the additional support for the vulnerable persons that I mentioned before, as an administration, I could say that we are pleased with the measures that we provided thus far, and we continue to work with the Minister of Finance in terms of not just the loan guarantee program, but extending the tourism upgrade facility, and we continue to work with the sector. As Secretary of Finance, I met with the business community on several occasions to hear their concerns and to share their concerns, and the measures coming out in the national budget reflected their recommendations and input as well, and as well my recommendations to the minister and as well to the governor of the central bank to treat with issues such as the shortage of foreign exchange, something that we're working on as well to treat with the local business community.
All right, now there's already been somewhat of a slow start to the economy jump-starting. We're looking at safe zones being created. Tobago is a tourist destination, yes, but with the slow start to the jump-start of the economy, what measures can be put in place? And I heard some of what you said there, some of the support that you're lending to the tourism agencies and ancillary staff or ancillary, areas.
Well, let's put your question in the context of the numbers and our projections. Right. When the pandemic started, I had we ran the numbers, my team, we ran the numbers, and we did early projections as to what the impact of the pandemic would be. Persons might recall I estimated a 14.3% decline in terms of economic activity within Tobago in 2020.
Right.
But when we analyzed the final data, what we saw that, and I indicated then that our estimate was conservative, it was a bit high, but when we did the final numbers, the economic decline was only 5.3%, and that was cushioned because of the measures and the put in place by the Tobago House of Assembly at the time to cushion the impact. And what we see moving forward into 2021, we are projecting a growth in GDP of 1.2% over 2020. And that is predicated on a number of things. One, the rollout of a robust vaccination program, and two, the reopening of the economy.
Right.
So by now we were hoping that we would have had the economy reopen, the beaches, the hotels,
fully vaccinated.
and persons fully vaccinated. And the implementation of the safe zone measures as well was instituted for us to, to fully reopen the economy. The Prime Minister signaled that with increase in numbers, we still have to be restricted. And I want Tobagonians to understand, if you look at the measures that, as an administration in the Tobago context, that we have implemented, and you look at what we have done nationally, it mirrors what some of the successful countries who have navigated the pandemic fairly well, what they have done. You look at New Zealand, you look at how they have managed as well, and Australia. Australia told Australians, you're either in or you're out, and they locked down the country, and they are now reopening. New Zealand as well. And what is also similar in terms of the comparisons is that they're now having spikes, even they have implemented the lockdown measures, and that is why our vaccination program is so important. I just wanted two things. One, celebrate our, all our medical personnel and nurses and support staff for the yeoman service that they have done, Dr. Tiffany Hoyt and her team, Auntie Gutran and others, and a host of volunteers who have provided the necessary support. Additionally, and to those persons who may have lost loved ones, I want to extend my condolences as well, because I lost an aunt who was close to 100, and
really sorry
we
to
were
hear that.
hoping to celebrate her 100th birthday within a year or two. So I could empathize with persons. So this is a really trying time, and for the business sector, we continue to work with them and provide the support. We have extended the period of support up to the end of the year. We have waived the rent for some of the businesses.
Yes.
Under the Tobago House of Assembly, who are renting our facilities at the Micro Center malls, the Esplanade, and as well at Cove. So we have provided lot of measures. For the agriculture sector, we have provided a suite of...
Before we go into that, let me ask you here, because I know our time is very limited here. Now, should the PNM not be successful in the upcoming December 6th THA elections, what projects would you like to see remain as a priority for whomever takes over?
Well, when the PNM returns to office on the night of December 6th,
I like your answer.
We'll continue to provide the necessary stimulus and support to the business community to facilitate the
But should you not be successful? I mean, elections are won on election day. But
yes.
Should you not? I mean, what are the areas? What are the key projects
and I will
for
outline
you?
them to you. When we return to office, we're going to continue to focus on human capital development, where we continue to invest in our young people to pursue tertiary education. We have our infrastructure emergency projects in some areas that will also continue. Some of the projects that are in train that will be continue to be executed, the Goodwood Pavilion, the Dwight York indoor facilities, those are also key. Additionally, our agriculture thrust in terms of providing the necessary support to increase agriculture output, to modernize farming, that will also continue in the upcoming year. We will focus on the tourism sector as well, seeking how we can attract additional investment into Tobago to expand the tourism plant and to ensure that we attract increased arrivals to the island, because tourism will be the focal point of the island's development moving forward, even as we look at new sectors such as ICT, and as we look at ensuring that we roll out the Tobago Intelligent Island Mandate. And lastly, the Shivan Integrated Housing Project, that PPP project, again, focusing on housing.
Okay. But thank you so much. We've got to leave it there. We want to thank you. And
we have run out of time. So it's a pleasure being here.
Always
nice seeing you again, Rhea.
Same here. But Mr. Jack, just as we go, we truly hope that you stay true to your word to support Tobago Updates. Knowing you mentioned earlier that Tobago Updates will have the support of the financial sector.
The Division of Finance, of course.
The Division, yes, thank you so much.
So it's a wonderful platform that we will use to inform and educate persons and to ensure that the message of financial education, financial empowerment, and some of our important services.
Always
so we'll be in touch.
Always happy to chat with you.
Nice seeing you as well, Lady Rhea.
Same here. Well, viewers, we're going to take a break. When we come back, lots more happening on the Tobago Updates morning show. Stay tuned. Share the live, share the live, share the live.
Morning, morning, good morning, morning. Put a smile on your
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show. It is 7:45 a.m. and in this segment we are preparing to connect with the man Winston Gypsy Peters.
Yes, and it's all about Carnival 2022, to be or not to be. So I believe we have him on the line at this time. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Peters.
Morning.
Good
Can
morning,
you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
All right, so as we begin the conversation this morning, we have Winston Gypsy Peters, chairman of the National Carnival Commission. So we are going straight into the discussions. The big question on the minds of everyone: Carnival 2022 for the vaccinated only. Give us a little insight into the progress that has been made. We know quite recently you would have traveled to the Miami Carnival and so on, and would have paid particular attention to where there might have been opportunities for Trinidad and Tobago to have some kind of return to Carnival in 2022. What progress has been made in that direction?
Well, what I see when I was there, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Trinidad. Good morning, Tobago, and good morning to wherever else you're heard in the world. But what I saw when I was there, and what I went specifically to look at, are the possibilities of doing some of that same thing that they are doing there. And yes, we saw the possibility, and the possibilities are there. We came back here last Friday. We had a meeting. We had a meeting with all the stakeholders and the Ministry of Culture. And we discussed ways that we can do whatever it is. Everybody had their input. And so we are looking forward now to the only entity that can say, yes, we're going to have carnival, in whatever form we would have it. That's the government of Trinidad and Tobago. So our line minister is now going to take that back, all the proposals back to the cabinet, and the cabinet would decide if it is feasible, if it is not feasible.
All right. Can you say that we can look forward? I'm certain you might have gotten some kind of heads up from the minister in terms of whether or not this would receive fair consideration, or, you know, you're totally unaware as to what the outcome might possibly be. Because, you know, people are naturally excited when you hear there is a consideration for 2022. Is Gypsy's word going to be solid enough and the proposal presented?
I am totally unaware. I'm unaware as to what the outcome would be. But what I can tell you is proposals forward by all holders, all led to saying that we can, in fact.
Insight into some of the areas proposed. Can we look forward to probably the return of some fêtes with conditions, the marsh grass celebration, steel pan? What are some of the areas that were proposed for consideration?
Yes, all the stakeholders were there, the fête promoters, the pan, the Calypso fraternity. We were at meeting, and everybody put their proposals forward. We are looking at safe, and the safe zones are for vaccinated persons only. We have some 650,000 people that are
All right, we seem to be having...
Yeah,
we seem to be having some audio challenges.
Okay, I think they're still going to try to see if we can continue on with him in just a little while, but
Yes.
there's some internet issues.
We'll try to see if we can reconnect. But I think what has been interesting so far that he's relating to is that there would have been a coming together of the stakeholders.
Yes.
So this was not just a case of Gypsy saying, you know, I've been to Miami Carnival and we can do it here.
Right.
But it was a case of bringing together the stakeholders to look at strategies and to look at ways.
How can it work for here?
How can it potentially work
Tobago?
for Trinidad and Tobago? Now, you know, one of the complaints we get all the time is our level of discipline in Trinidad and Tobago. And I wonder if that will naturally affect the consideration of the cabinet.
I'm looking at the fact, Julian, that there's already a vaccination drive that is not being adhered to. Will persons jump out to be vaccinated just for Carnival? You know, can this be the catalyst for persons jumping on and say, I'm going to get vaccinated because I want to enjoy Carnival 2022? I don't know. But like you said, we are not the most indisciplined set of people here in Trinidad and Tobago.
So I suspect it's one of the possibilities in terms of, as simple as it may look, there is a strong possibility that we can get persons confirming or expressing that interest in being vaccinated in order to participate in Carnival. I have no doubt in that. I have no doubt in that because as a people, we truly love our Carnival. We truly love the season. We enjoy the soca, we enjoy the calypso, we enjoy the steel pan, and that can certainly serve as a motivation to some. So it's left to be seen that if the cabinet does agree, it's really left to be seen how that will work in terms of going forward.
Okay. Well, Julian, a lot of things to talk about this morning, and as we continue on, but we're going to go to a very quick break. We've got This Day in History coming up, and then we, encourage you to continue to share the live. Stay tuned.
This day in Tobago history. Did you know, on this day, the 17th November in 1888, with the stroke of a pen, the Empress of India turned 2 islands as one colony? According to Larry Luke's book, Identity and Secession in the Caribbean, on this day, 133 years ago, Queen Victoria of the British Empire proclaimed the Order in Council which united Tobago with Trinidad, creating one colony of Trinidad and Tobago, which was to take effect from the 1st of January 1889. The Trinidad and Tobago Act was passed in the British Parliament in 1887. The Act authorized the union of the 2 islands, effectively putting an end to Tobago's separate political and administrative identity. Political power would now be concentrated in Port of Spain. This meant the governor of Trinidad became the governor of both islands. Any instruction given to the then governor, Sir William Robinson, by the Crown had the same consequence and application in Tobago. Sir Robinson had arrived in Trinidad and taken up the position of governor of Trinidad in 1885. Beginning the first day of 1889, however, he would now also hold responsibility for Tobago and was authorized to appoint a commissioner of Tobago as the head of its administration. My name is Devon Adana. You've been watching This Day in Tobago History. Back to you.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers, and welcome back. It's 7:53 a.m. here in Tobago. This is the Tobago Updates morning show coming to you live from the Port Mall in Scarborough. We want to continue to recognize and to thank our sponsors, Courts, Here, Sanctuary, it's Caroline Birchwood James, and who am I forgetting, Rhea? The Port Mall,
yes,
where we are located.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for the continued support. We also want to use this segment to express our appreciation to all our viewers joining us on the live. All our viewers joining us on the live. Alvin Thompson, Dora Lyons, Tara Golden, Nicole Henry, Petel Daniel Benoit. I'm also seeing Melanie Sandy on the live, Teresa Allen, Keishon Robley, Lavian Ashby Cupid, and all those persons continuing to join us on the live. Rhea, you have some shout outs there too.
Do you want to share some of the comments?
Well, not a problem at all.
Yeah, we'd love to hear some of the comments from our viewers.
Well, I think most of our comments have been tied in. Most persons, of course, tying into our usual good morning, good morning. The natural energies that there's banter between the both political parties under the thread for discussion, and I think that is also well expected. You have commendations coming into Secretary Jack in terms of presenting perspectives and best wishes as he goes forward as a candidate. So those are some of the things happening under the live this morning, and we want to continue to thank our viewers for the love and support. Rhea, today is Wednesday.
Yes.
Today is also the day that Trinidad and Tobago is looking forward to the Prime Minister going to the Parliament to remove the state of emergency.
Yes.
Some are happy about it. Some are not so happy at all. What do you think is the likely kind of response that we can anticipate?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be passed, but, you know, I think persons are looking forward to it, definitely. We've been, let me not say we, the Trinidad and Tobago population has been looking forward to this for a long time. You know, the question here is, why now? But I'm going to leave that there. I won't go further with that. But why now? Why don't?
Well, Rhea, you might leave it there, but I think it is convenient to the political parties, and that's what people have been saying.
Yeah.
That is, it is intended to facilitate, you know, because on every platform, and I have heard both, I have heard, you know, political leader for the PNM, Tracy, three-quarter way in her speech. Similarly, I have heard Farley Chavez Augustine coming down to the end of his speech. Y'all, let's pay attention to the time.
Yes.
So you hear them on the platform and you realize that they would, I am certain as the politicians, they would much prefer not to have that kind of time limitation.
Yes.
They probably want the limitation for whatever measures or controls it has been having in relation to the protocols. But I'm sure when it comes to their campaign meetings and being able to engage and interact, they would much prefer not to have that limitation with time.
Well, we'll see how things go. But, you know, we just want to let our viewers know that we did try to contact Mr. Winston Gypsy Peters a while ago again, and we seem to be having some difficulties. He seems to be on the move, and that is making it a little bit more difficult to connect with him. So we may have to leave it there for today, but certainly a little bit later on, maybe in the week or next week, we will be able to connect with him again and further our discussions. Now, we also want to remind our viewers, for those of you connecting with us, we have the Good Stuff segment. We remind you that you can make your submissions via info@tobagoupdates.com. That's info@tobagoupdates.com, as well as you can connect with us via phone. That's 284-6597. That's 284-6597. As we continue to bring the issues to you here via the Tobago Updates morning show. All right. Now, you know, Julian, we didn't have much time yesterday, but one of the issues that came up was the issue of the safe zones, and I understand that over the weekend, the police had to stop owners and patrons, or rather slap owners and patrons with $100,000 in fines, and this is in the South Trinidad. All right. So we have safe zone units of the police service now, keeping track of persons entering safe zones who are unvaccinated. So patrons, if I'm not mistaken, patrons and owners, restaurant owners alike, will be fined, or have been fined, and will continue to be fined. So only vaccinated persons are allowed in places deemed as safe zones. So we've got to pay attention. I don't think I've heard of anyone in Tobago being charged or being fined at this, well, up to this point with regards, you know, entering a safe zone without being vaccinated. So yeah, I'm just urging the population to be careful, be mindful. Yeah, we also had the situation coming up there in the news to remind persons the EBC challenge that would have been presented by the lady there in terms of June Jack Mackenzie. Yes. You know, certainly the action would not have, has been shut down,
by the High Court in terms of her efforts to raise challenges against the methods utilized by the EBC in terms of the division that takes us forward to the 15 seats as we head towards the election. And it's interesting that they cited, one of the reasons cited had to do with the fact that they questioned the time frame within which, when it took place, as well as how long the individual might have taken in order to file the action. I found that very interesting. I didn't realize some of these things, you know, there was a limitation in time per se that says that you're not necessarily able to make that submission. You know, there are certain matters that are obviously statute bar, but not in an instance like this. I thought that she might have had some kind of free rein for consideration, but that was one of the interesting things cited in the judgment.
Yes, and the effects rather of the decision and the move during this time. But we've got to leave it. We've got to leave it there for today, but we want to thank our viewers for joining us today. Julian, it was a beautiful morning with you. So we trust that you have a really great day. Stay safe on the roads. Remember to wear your mask, viewers. Yeah, to sanitize and to socially distance yourself. See you tomorrow.
All right, bye-bye.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, morning, good morning.